And the lights are out, you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
After a hell of a race last week at Road America, or 2 weeks ago at Road America, we now come to one of the most historic tracks in NASCAR. We are at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Welcome to the Western States Racing League Tuesday Night Truck Series. Tony Trapasso up in the booth, joined with me by Ben Bruno and Frank Marchese in the production truck tonight. Ben, welcome to Wilkesboro.
I'm very excited. A little bit of change of pace here after the off week to maybe one of the shorter tracks we're going to see all year. But, coming off of just before the bye week, a road course and another change of pace. And that's something that we talk to everybody in our post race interviews about. And there is a lot of guys excited to be here, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this track just has so much history to it. I mean, you take a look at all the past winners and so forth. Let's take a real quick look at the current point standings as we still have about 3 minutes left in the hot lap session here tonight. And if my computer will actually work right, I can pull that up on my end. But Bentley Glazer's still showing the way by a pretty fair margin right now. Didn't have the greatest race last week, but still is able to get a few points. Jeff Schmeier coming home, I believe, second place last week. Coming home is still sitting in second place in points. Kyle McCartney still sitting in third. We're still less than a race out between your top four right now. There's only 45 points separate from Ryan Steele in fourth place to Bentley Glazer. Then we're another 23 points back to Jeff Hollingsworth, another 4 points back to Bob Beltrami, Brian Barnes, Dennis Fuson, Rob Gall, and Ron Holyfield rounding out your top 10. And Ben, the one thing I did notice, last week's winner, Dalton England, who gained 8 points, bringing him up to 22nd after coming home with the victory, he's not here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Dalton's out here, he's one of the toughest contenders in the entire field. Another one of those guys that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on here tonight is going to be Jeff Hollingsworth. He's had some ups and downs so far here this season with the Western States Racing League. He's been on the podium a couple times. He's got caught in a couple other dumpster fires, but now he's looking to get that turned around, as after the race at Road America, he had jumped up 2 more spots in the point standing in trying to make his bid for a championship here with the Western States Racing League. So, it seems like we talk about a lot of the same guys over and over again, but Jeff Schmeier, Kyle McCartney, Ryan Steele, Bentley Glazer, and when Dalton's in the field, we're always talking about him too. So keep your eyes out for some of those guys. And my early pick here tonight is going to be Jeff Hollingsworth, looking to turn it around and continue to hack into this championship point standing.
Absolutely. And the one I'm going to be keeping my eye on is currently sitting atop of the scoring pylon. That's Brian Barnes in the 4. Currently sitting 7th in points, lost a couple of spots last week. But, whenever we come to a short track, Brian is usually one of the tougher contenders. And a couple names that we're not used to calling in the currently sitting in the top 10. We got Charles Wood sitting third quick on the scoring pylon. Jeff Hollingsworth, of course, second. Then we got Ryan Steele, Rob Gall, Bentley Glazer, then Fred Williams in 7th right now. So we could see some shakeups happening tonight.
Absolutely. And he's another one of those guys that's going to be looking to turn it around. If I'm not mistaken, the last 2 races, maybe it was just the last race, but Brian Barnes having some connection issues. So going to look to get this whole one in and continue his bid, as we know that he's one of the best contenders in this field, and a guy that, correct me if I'm wrong here on this one, Frank, but Martin Tuck. Not sure that I've ever had the pleasure of calling Martin Tuck with the Western States Racing League. So a green face here with these guys, and a couple other guys, as you said there, Charles Woods has been outstanding so far here this year as we make our way into qualifying and see our first couple of trucks starting to make their way out on the track. The 46 of Earl Weaver currently out on the track, the first car out. Stephen Baird, another one that I don't believe that I've had the pleasure of calling yet. with the Western States Racing League, the 31 of Rob Gall, the 12 of Ryan Steele, and as I said, the 46 of Earl Weaver.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Paul Hoffman rolling it as well. A handful of guys getting out there right now. Quick look at the track conditions. 79 degree ambient air temperature, so the motors are going to be able to make gobs of horsepower. The only problem is they got to deal with 122 degree track temperature. 4 sets of tires tonight. So the set they qualify on is the same set they have to start the race on, and then they've got three sets in their pockets to do 160 laps with, and 1 fast repair. But lap time starting to trickle in here, as looks like Ryan Steele currently sitting atop the pylon. First one to go sub 19s.
Absolutely, and that's an absolute heater there from Ryan Steele. Is the quickest time that we saw in practice came from Brian Barnes in 18.936, so not far off of Brian's fastest lap in practice. Bentley Glazer also in the 18 sitting second, 18.987 for Bentley Glazer on his first laps, and these time spreads are awfully tight, so we're going to have quite the race here in front of us. Bentley Glazer unable to improve on his second lap with a 19.016, which would have been good enough for that third spot over Carl Burke, who's sitting with a 19.081. So these really tight splits going to come into play here during this race.
Absolutely. You know, and that's something to really be mindful of, as looks like David Wood out on track right now, going 10th quick. And I believe we've got Jeff Hollingsworth finally rolling it off pit road there, as he's getting ready to working it through 3 and 4 right now in the United States Coast Guard number 97, bringing that out of turn number 4 to take the green flag to start his first flyer. And now we saw Hollingsworth lay down some 19.0s in the hot lap session. Let's see what he's got for qualifying here. Working down the back straightaway, hugging that outside wall. And the thing to be mindful of here, there are no safer barriers at this track. So when you hit the wall, it's good luck. Here's some concrete. Don't die. And 19.04, that's going to be good enough for 4th quick. And he loses it through turn 1 and pretty much going to abort that second run, as the 4 of Brian Barnes on his first flyer, going through 3-4 right now to end it. Says nice tidy line for the popsicle number 4, 19.09. That's good enough for 6 quick so far, and a little bit of a wiggle in the middle of 2. Let's see how it's going to affect him on his second. Little bit of a wiggle through 3 and 4 as well. Not as bad through 1 and 2, and not going to improve. So that's interesting.
Not sure if you caught it there, Frank, but Charles Woods a couple laps ago able to turn in a third qualifying effort after being one of the quicker guys, as you had mentioned in practice. So a good qualifying effort for the 40 of Charles Woods.
I did miss that. I apologize. As Jeff Schmeier out on track right now in the 30, getting ready to start his first flyer. We've got Dennis Fuson out on track as well. And Schmeier working through 3 and 4 right now. Oh, that's not the lap he was hoping for. So he's going to send that one to pit road and abort the first lap. He's going to have one shot at putting one up there, as Fuson went 5th quick in the double deuce. And the only other car out on track right now looking to take a time looks like Javier Torres, and he's going to have to abort that one. And Schmeier back out on track right now. He's got to make the most of this one lap they're going to give him. Good head of steam going into 1. Nice tidy line on corner entry. And same thing on corner exit. That's about rock solid, just inch perfect coming off of 2. Down into 3. Here we go. What type of time can the 30 post? 19.1. 1:20. It's good enough for 9th quick.
Yeah, not a bad recovery lap there for Schmeier. Is, as you said, catching the wall on that first one, only going to get one lap and able to put that 30 truck inside of the top 10. So not where he would have hoped to have been, but a really good recovery lap there for him. As Ryan Steele taking a second lap. I don't believe he reset his time. And he was the only other one on the track now, just running a couple practice laps as we
Yeah, that's
wait
all
for
he's.
Javier Perez too right now.
Yeah, that's all he's doing is just he's taking laps to try to get more comfortable with this track, and that's kind of dangerous for the rest of the field. It looks like the 14 of Bob Beltrami finally rolling. He is on his out lap now, and different paint scheme than I'm used to seeing on that truck. Green flag out for Beltrami, first lap. A little bit higher line. This has a really weird apex too, that this whole track does. It's a later apex than you would expect for a track like this. And it does take a little bit of getting used to, and you've got to be real careful as Beltrami goes 13th quick on his first lap. Little bit of a wiggle off of 2, and that's going to abort the second one. So Beltrami, not the starting position he was hoping for, but let's go back and talk about the where the hell is he now? Jeff Schmeier in the 30. Now, Schmeier's not known as a great qualifier. As a matter of fact, I believe this is one of the first races I've seen him start in the top 10. So, I mean, that actually bodes very well for his course tonight.
Absolutely. And not to sound like a broken record, but it's one of those things that you just can't teach. It's keeping the nose of that car clean, managing those 4 goodies underneath of you and making your way through it, and being one of those cars that's up towards the front in those last 15, 20 laps when it really matters. So Jeff Schmeier never fails to do just that. And something that you and I have talked about many times this season is the talent level in this field, and Jeff Schmeier might be one of those guys that you talk about as the pinnacle of it.
Absolutely. As the Superflow Toyota of Jeff Schloss out on track right now, and looks like he had problems. Yeah, he kind of borfed it going into 3, so he's going to reset, do the same thing that Schmeier did. Going to get a one and done here as he's rolling back off pit road after resetting. So time's starting to wind down here in the qualifying session, and unfortunately for these guys, the track's not getting any cooler.
Absolutely. And really another really great turnout for the Western States Racing League. Looks like just over 30 cars, 34 to be exact, as we're looking to see these last couple of times come in. It looks like with just about a minute left, Keith Kelman, Barry Phil, Eric Woods, Javier Perez Torres, who we saw did take to the track but did not complete a lap, Dustin Burns, James Campbell, Jeffrey Schloss, who we just saw taking a lap time but opted out once again, and Earl McCulligan not going to take times, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure what Schloss is doing. He just keeps resetting to the pits and not taking time. I mean, qualifying session is effectively over as there's only 20 seconds left. So, he's not even going to get a lap. But we've got the qualifying order in, and hats off to Ryan Steele. I mean, that was a hell of a lap. So that is going to do it for qualifying, as looks like cars starting to grid up now. So let's take a quick look at the starting grid for tonight's 160 lap event. Ryan Steele going quick time with an 18.966, able to wrestle the pole away from Bentley Glazer, who has had a lock on poles most of the season so far. Glazer going to start outside row number 1. Charles Woods and Jeff Hollingsworth going to roll off in row 2. Dennis Fuson and Carl Burke make up row number 3. Row 4 brings us Brian Barnes and Wayne Hutchinson. Jeff Schmeier and Martin Tuck are going to start in row number 5, with row 6 going to Ross Rawlings and Rob Gall. Row 7 brings us Bob Beltrami and Earl Weaver, with row number 8 going to Stephen Baird and Paul Hoffman. Ben?
In the 27 truck, starting 17th, David Wood. Starting 18th, the 527 of Brian Border. 19th, the 67 of Rob Courtney. 20th, Fred Williams. 21st, James J. Dewar. 22nd, the 28 of William Fletcher. 23rd, David Weaver. 24th, Paul Kroom-Rye. 25th, Angelo Espo. 26th, Alan Bergen. And then cars not taking time, starting 27th, Keith Kelman. 28th will be the 99 of Barry Phil. 29th, the 85 of Eric Woods. 30th, Javier Perez Torres. 31st, Dustin Burns. 32nd, James Campbell. 33rd, Jeffrey Schloss. And rounding out the field in the 777, Earl McCulligan.
And the thing to keep in mind, too, is from 27th down to 34th, those starting positions are set through the I-rating system, and they go in descending order. So the drivers with the higher I-rating will start further forward, as the pace truck's starting to roll off now, as we are going to have 2 pace laps around this 5/8 of a mile. One of the first of its kind progressively banked ovals here in Wilkes County, North Carolina.
Absolutely. And if you're watching at home, drop in the comments who you're rooting for, where you're watching from, and who you'd like to see win this race. We want to hear from you.
Absolutely. As we are going to get 2 pace laps here. So that was the formation lap. We are now going to do the pace lap. So, this is going to be fun. This is buckle in. 160 laps going to be the scheduled distance here tonight. Remember, they got 4 sets of tires. So the set of tires that they qualified on is the same set they have to start the race on. And then they've got 3 sets in their back pockets. As the field works its way down the back straightaway behind the Chevy Silverado pace truck, the official pace truck of iRacing. That is Ryan Steele, who's going to have the button. The only thing that's left to do is you pull the 5-point safety harness tight one more time. Make sure the visor's adjusted just where you want it. Pace truck gets ready to duck on in, and race fans, it's showtime!
Ryan Steele gets a good jump heading down into turn 1. He's going to stick that 12 truck right to the bottom of the racetrack, and Bentley Glazer wasting no time, making an aggressive move down to the inside. Track position going to be ever so important. So Bentley Glazer is going to take away that low side as we see him pull to the door of the 12 of Ryan Steele.
Glazer's got to be careful, because this track with the progressive banking, you can see just how effectively Steele is able to defend in that second lane, which is something we've seen at other tracks all season long, as here comes Hollingsworth and Woods with a whole gaggle behind them, a pack of angry wolves, if you will. But you've got to be careful if you go to that low side to try to get the move done, because A, it's very easy for the guy on your outside to defend, and B, you're just going to burn the right front tire off your truck.
Absolutely, and a good battle shaping up here just outside of the top 5 between the double deuce of Dennis Fuson and the 29 of Wayne Hutchison, as these guys look to make a move, cannot make anything happen, just slightly above the 22, as Charles Woods begins to pull away from Carl Burke, and Ryan Steele is able to hold off Bentley Glazer for the time being.
Field getting a little strung out right now, as the battle right now is really for the number 13 spot, as Earl Weaver and that I believe that's Stephen Bard being scored as the 19 tonight, though driving the 51. really duking it out right now. That is for the number 13 spot. That is really your closest battle on track right now.
Absolutely. And Brian Barnes able to make his way up. Not exactly sure what happened.
There we go. There's
and another one. Paul Hoffman. Paul Hoffman in the 3 round going to collect a gaggle of cars. Take a look back at it here as Frank Marchese tries to get it up on the screen for you. It was the 51 going around collecting Paul Weaver or Paul Hoffman and moving up the track and collecting a gaggle of cars. Looks like the 55, the 28, the 527 of Border. That's James J. Dewar. And trying to get a call on the rest of these guys here. Angelo Espo getting collected in that one. So just a handful of laps in and a big one strikes early, Tony.
Yeah, unfortunately, I completely was not able to see it. As I said it before, and I'll say it again, Verizon Internet, you suck. But, yeah, a lot of guys are going to have to burn their fast repair, and we're only working lap 7, so a lot of these guys are going to be on the back foot early. Not something you really want to see, especially at a track that is as tough as North Wilkesboro can be, and knowing that you've got to go 160 laps to get to the finish.
So it was really interesting. There was he's on the scoreboard as the 19, Stephen Baird. He's driving the 51 truck, going down the backstretch. He had a lot of right side damage on that truck, and all of a sudden, just a hard left turn down in front of Hoffman and Weaver. And then, as I had mentioned, Hoffman just nowhere to go up to the top side of the track and collects a whole bunch of cars. So not the way that some of these guys are going to want to have started their night.
Yeah, absolutely. You can still see the right side damage on Baird's 51. Dewar actually did burn his fast repair in the CorvetteParts.net number 55. Interesting that that's on a Ford F-150, but who am I to say? I know, right? But yeah, I mean, Baird has already burned his fast repair. Earl McCulligan's still on pit road, and didn't quite see who that was. Still parked at the end of pit road there, as my live timing and scoring has pooed the bed.
Didn't see who was sitting down there. I know Baird was moving rather slow there at the end, making his way down towards pit lane as the field's starting to double file back up, and the pace lights are out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck heading down the backstretch. That's going to give the go-ahead for Ryan Steele coming into turns 3 and 4.
And Steele, we know, is a good restarter, but the question is Glazer going to force him to go too hard, too quick, and burn the entirety of that right front tire completely off that truck? We're about to find out. Green flag comes out. Little bit of sideways action for Steele as he spun the tires just a little bit on that restart. Here comes Glazer on the high side. Full head of steam for the Gatorade number 87. Absolutely.
Big wobble from Ryan Steele, going to allow Bentley Glazer to take away that number 1 spot, and things certainly getting spicy looking backwards. The 40 of Charles Woods had a big slip up. We see a little bit of damage to that spoiler. Carl Burke, Dennis Fousson, Brian Barnes, and Jeff Schmeier all under a blanket battling for this spot as Fousson trying to take a look to the outside. Contact between Burke and Barnes, and what a save. And he's losing it again. Wow.
Flies. Wow, that could have ended a lot more poorly than it did. Absolutely, bravo. Everybody heads up driving throughout the entirety of the field there to make sure that nobody really died. And that could have ended poorly, especially considering how sideways Burke was off of 4. As if we can get confirmation that we're bringing that replay up on the and you can see that just a little bit of the chrome horn, and it started back when Fousson brushed the wall. Yep. And just nudged Burke, and then Barnes was trying to go to the inside of the two of them to get a twofer, and unfortunately Burke was sideways in front of him, and then that save coming off of 4 by Burke, good grief. How he missed that pit wall, I have absolutely no idea. But heads up driving for everybody that was around that incident taking place to make sure that we didn't have a multi-truck wreck.
Absolutely, and it's a little bit, unfortunate because it honestly looked like a little bit of net code maybe between Fuson and Burke there, unless my eyes are playing tricks on me.
No, I don't think they are, but that was also a great save by Barnes too, as he was right on the tailgate of Burke,
Oh
and the
yeah,
two of them, and everybody on the outside was giving them room, hoping that they were going to miss that concrete wall as well. So, getting ready to put 16 laps in the books. Glazer, Steele, Hollingsworth, Charles Woods, Busan, Burke, Barnes, Hutchinson, Schmeier, and Tuck as the 55 getting one of his laps back. Tuck, the last car in the top 10 right now. So pretty decent debutante run for the 17 so far.
absolutely, and I think you hit it on the head there. What a job by the rest of those guys, as you mentioned. Brian Barnes getting checked up to not just obliterate the back end of the 53 of Carl Burke, and I mean there was really a ton of trucks that had to check up, and hats off to those guys as we see Dustin Burns stop down on pit road. He's got heavy damage to the rear end of that truck as he makes his way off of pit road, but everything else relatively smooth sailing. We see a little bit of a wheel spin there from Ryan Steele on the restart of that one, and you got to figure that that's going to start to play into being the name of the game on these restarts for these guys up front.
Absolutely. As we're getting to the point, now mind you, we haven't had too many laps under anger. I believe we've had only 2 so far. As the lights are out on the pace truck, Glazer going to have the button this time, but we're getting to that point where the tires are going to start to give up the ghost here pretty soon. As field working its way out of turn number 4, pace truck is in, green flag is in the air, and we are back underway. Amazing restart for Glazer there. 3 car lengths to the good over Steele as Charles Woods works his way around Jeff Hollingsworth. Sorry, I had that backwards. And there goes my quality again. Ben, take over.
Yes, the 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth able to get cleared. Charles Woods now scored in that 3rd spot as they make their way across the line. And the yellow flag has reared its head once again. Take a look back here. See if I can get a look and see exactly what happened there. Taking a look back.
I dare say that was towards the tail end of the field. And probably one of the troublemakers that we've already seen tonight. There it goes. Doer in the 55.
Trying to get caught up with you here.
I'm just going off timing and scoring because he just got his lap back and just went another lap down and he's in the pits.
Yes, and mine not cooperating with me. I have a big jump from the incident happening to a fast tow for Deer into pit lane.
And you can see the heavy right side damage on the side of that 55 Ford F-150. Just not having a good night. As looks like Dustin Burns bringing it down pit road again. I dare say he's burned his fast repair.
Angelo Espo in the 333 also has some damage on the right side of his truck, not nearly as major as some of the other damage that we've seen, but another truck with damage early on here.
Well, it's only the New York Jets, so it doesn't really matter. Hi, Frank. I'm about to get my mic turned off. I know that. But, jeepers. As Bentley Glazer still in control of this one. But so far, I mean, we've not seen a lot of guys make a ton of headway. The biggest mover so far is the 15 of Paul Crumry, the young man from Minnesota, driving that GM Goodwrench number 15 tonight. Beautifully painted truck, as he is up 9 spots already from his 24th starting position, currently sitting in the number 15 slot. Biggest mover so far actually is a tie between him and Barry Phil in the 99.
And
So,
Javier Perez Torres also a big mover from
yes.
30th to 17th in
Yeah,
that
that's
25. So putting together,
that's impressive.
yeah, the run that he's been looking for. We talk about him pretty often. It seems like he gets caught up in a lot of dumpster fires, but so far here early on, able to keep that nose clean and make his way a handful of positions forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be going to a track next week that is a little more suited to Javier's skill set. Doesn't have all of the oval racing experience that some of these other guys do have. But next week we go to my home track, the Finger Lakes region of Central New York, and Watkins Glen. So something to look forward to as the field's doubling up, coming off of two, Ben.
Absolutely. Heading down the backstretch, the iRacing pace truck leads Bentley Glazer in the 12 of Ryan Steele in the front row. Jeff Hollingsworth, after having a good restart, going to look to take advantage yet again, see if anybody can slip up their tires. The 87 of Bentley Glazer going to be the first one back to the loud pedal, and he's got a good jump over Ryan Steele, but not quite as good as the one that we saw in the last restart.
No, definitely not, as he was able to time Glazer a little bit better that time, as it's a very quick green flag from the time that pace truck hits that yellow line to signify where the apron is. It's a very, very quick green flag, as right now Ryan Steele has all he can do to handle Jeff Hollingsworth, as here comes the 22 of Busan working the inside of, that is the 4 of Brian Barnes. That's Barnes actually working the outside. I'm sorry.
And through turns 1 and 2, there was a little bit of contact, no caution, as I believe it was the 17 truck got sent down into the grass, and a miracle that did not clean up any other cars in that. But what a battle shaping up here with Brian Barnes and Charles Woods, as Brian Barnes being very aggressive, using a lane higher, as Charles Woods continues to roll around the bottom of the racetrack. And looking forward, Jeff Hollingsworth has caught up to Ryan Steele's tailgate and trying to take a look at taking away that second spot.
Absolutely. That's something that we discussed. It's a late apex into turn 1 that and you can see Woods taking a little bit of a later apex, but Barnes really taking a late apex and getting a better run off of 2 to wrestle that spot away from Woods. But the other thing that we noticed that on Monday night, and I'm thinking we're probably going to see it more as the season wears on, iRacing seems to have reconfigured how it's calling cautions. You brought up the 17 going through the grass. They've changed something, because we were getting very quick cautions last night that for the previous couple of seasons you didn't see those being called as cautions, and it would really wind up drivers. But tonight, we've seen trucks that didn't seem that far out of shape, and the caution flag would fly.
Absolutely. And another thing that's going to come into play here, as well as this change in cautions, is as these runs go further and further, you're going to see that just a touch higher line start to work a little bit better. The more aggressive these guys have to be going into the bottom, the more brake they're going to have to use as we get that tire fall off. And Bentley Glazer is on an absolute tear now, up to a 1.1 second lead over Ryan Steele, as he and Jeff Hollingsworth make their way around a lapped car here, who is moving very slow. Earl McCulligan down on the bottom side of the track, having these lead lap cars just blow right by him, as the 22 able to make his way around Carl Burke.
Absolutely. And Burke struggling a little bit here in the mid-run. I believe that's the second or third time he's brushed that wall off of 2. And that goes back to the fact that you have to late apex that corner. And a lot of these guys struggle with that. You can tell the guys that have a little more road racing experience, because this is one of the few oval tracks that you actually have to drive it more like a road course.
Yeah, big braking zones coming in, and it's just like a lot of these other really short tracks, it's one of those things that the margin for error, just like a road course, is so small.
Ross Rawlings going for a ride, coming off a 4 tried to get the power down a little too hard. That's going to let Rob Gall and Jeff Schmeier both get by him, as that is your battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th. Just hot and heavy right now. And Crumry now up to 13th. Javier Torres currently running in 16th, so both those guys able to pick up one spot each, as Jeff Hollingsworth still keeping Ryan Steele honest, as Steele trying to do what he can to maintain second right now and see what he's got. And Fusan going for a ride. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was Fusan working the inside of Woods. Torres going for a ride.
Tough break there for him, as we were just talking about him able to keep that nose clean, as he just gets up in the wall. It looks like it's not cooperating with me. Yeah.
No, he definitely had help on that one. As that's the 16 gets into him on corner entry, the 14 finishes him off. So it was Dave Weaver and Bob Beltrami, both, and I'm going to get yelled at for this one. I know I already am, but given Javier, the Spanish archer, the old elbow, to send him up the track, and that brings out the next caution.
See who, 40 laps into this one, lots of caution laps have been counted so far, but see if we start to see some of our first takers to pit road. It doesn't look like we will quite yet, as
yes, we do. We have quite a few takers going down pit road right now. Only a handful out of the top 10, though, as looks like Wood, yes. Charles Woods being one of the first ones. Burke going down pit road to get some new shoes put on that truck. Looks like Rob Courtney as well. And Brian Barnes. So, a handful of takers, and we're about to see what the tire fall off looks like, as we're 42 laps into this piece. Now, mind you, we've only had a couple handfuls of laps under Anger. They had a pretty decent, about 10-lap run there for a while. And then, this is short track racing. We're on a 5/8 mile, tight oval. And, frustration really starts to rear its head on these short tracks.
Absolutely. And, just like I was saying, that room for air is so small that, when they get into this tight pack racing at a place like this, they miss that brake where they want to hit that brake pedal just a second too late, and you're in the back of another truck. So, let alone the margin for error on, moving up through the field to not run into these incidences is instantly magnified.
And it looks like the 32 of Alan Bergen has decided to call it a night, as the lights are out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck. Bentley Glazer going to have the button one more time. And keep your eye on back towards the tail end of this field and the guys that came down pit road as the field works its way out of turn number 4. Pace truck is in, green flag is out. We are back underway, as it looks like Glazer might be in trouble as this race wears on, as Ryan Steele has his timing down. Don't look now. Here comes Dennis Fusan on the high side, working around Hollingsworth. Just about inch perfect. Hollingsworth tries to send it going into 3. A little bit better drive off of 4. Fusan going to have to file back in line, but they are still too wide behind those guys.
Absolutely. Hollingsworth driving it in real deep. The 31 of Rob Gall now making his way forward. He's able to get around Hutchison and Rawlings to take away that 5th and final top 5 spot there. But Hutchison not going to go away easy as this battle in front continues to settle down, as Bentley Glazer is able to put a truck length between himself and Ryan Steele in just about another as
and
the caution comes out.
Awesome sauce.
See if we can catch where that's at here.
Looks like 67 of Courtney getting involved in that one. I didn't quite catch who the other one was. And Campbell in the 11. So those two guys not having a night as Campbell was actually making some headway. He was up 10 spots from his 32nd starting spot. But this is really going to hamper them as it looks like Courtney has a very wounded truck.
Jeffrey Schloss as well. Lots of damage and lots of smoke coming out of that truck right now. Not cooperating with me, but he had to have been tied up in it in that pink 023 truck. As it looks like he may have terminal damage to that truck.
I'm thinking the same thing goes for looks like Eric Woods in the 85, and Campbell's F-150 is just annihilated. I don't know what the hell was going on there. It looks like he may have missed his pit stall. But heavy damage on that Jack Daniels number 11 right now.
And with that, it brought us a couple more stops. William Fletcher stopping on pit road there, making his way back off just a moment ago. And pretty much everybody else looks like they stayed out, and lots of damaged trucks. One of those trucks that has some right front damage, the 14 of Bob Beltrami, currently scored in the 10th position.
Well, that was
from David Wood.
Yeah, absolutely. David Wood having a good run right now, currently sitting in the number 9 spot. But Beltrami, that damage on his truck was from the incident with Javier Torres. And, that it's light damage. And the good part about being at a 5/8 mile track like this, aero's not as critical as it is on the bigger tracks.
Absolutely. Like I was talking about a little bit earlier on, the aero not being quite as important as, really making sure that you hit your marks at a place like this. And as you had alluded to, kind of like a road course, I mean, you miss that braking point, you're pushing up the turner, and you're going to have to quit the hemorrhaging fast.
Well, the other thing you got to be concerned with are the guys running around you. If you're in a tight pack, if you hit the brake early and they're trying to brake deeper than you are, but they're right behind you, that's where the incidences really start to happen. You've got to be mindful of what's going on around you and how the guys around you are driving as my connection decides to take a poo again. Great.
And the Chevy Silverado pace truck leading the field back down the backstretch one last time. The 87 of Bentley Glazer gonna have the option of the loud pedal first to lead the field back to green for the start of lap number 53 as the iRacing pace truck pulls off. The 87 is on the loud pedal, and another great jump for Bentley Glazer as he leads Ryan Steele. The 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth able to get the jump on Dennis Fuson and take away that bottom position on the track. And what a gaggle of cars we got going back here. Rob Gall and Wayne Hutchison able to make his way around Rob Gall for that 5th spot. And then Jeff Schmeier, after starting 10th, if I'm not mistaken, now chipping away, sitting in 7th. Ross Rawlings, the 14 of Beltrami, using a distinctively higher line as everybody behind them goes 2 by 2 by 2.
Yeah, actually, Gall started on the number 12 spot, currently sitting in the number 6 position, as I believe that's Paul Hoffman yes, that is Paul Hoffman working the outside of David Wood right now. Wood having a good start, as is Hoffman. Started 17th and 16th respectively, as I'm hearing guys still cracking that turn 2 wall. But at second lane, Hoffman's making it work right now in that Budweiser Toyota.
Absolutely. He's got a head of momentum build up in that 3 truck as he looks to make his way around David Wood. It looks like he's going to be able to do just that. See if David Wood's got the better drive, as Paul Hoffman able to hold on to that momentum and at the line give it to Hoffman. And then how's about Earl Weaver too, also having a really great run. Taking a look a little bit further back, Brian Border putting together a good one. Stephen Baird, after lots of damage, able to recover, sitting in 14th and continuing to try to push forward.
Yeah, but how about Barry Phil up from 28th starting spot, currently sitting in the number 16 slot. So very decent run for Phil, as Crumrye was one of the ones that has taken it down pit road in that GM Goodwrench number 15, currently sitting in the number 17th position. As here we go, Schmeier making a move. That's Schmeier and Rawlings throwing haymakers at each other right now as they both ride behind Rob Gall. And Schmeier trying to take the low line right now. Seems to be working for him a little bit. Just has ever so slightly an edge in that Hardy Ford F-150. Sideways coming off of 4, though. But does get the clear finally and up into the number 7 spot.
Absolutely. That was a 3-car battle there for the last 2 laps for that 6th spot. Rob Gall able to solidify the 6th spot, as now it has turned into a Schmeier-Rawlings battle, as you had mentioned there, Tony, as the caution comes out once again.
And it looks like it is the 17 of Martin Tuck getting involved in that one. And unfortunately, once again, Tony's computer decided to take a poo.
I had Frank's get me all fixed up with the replay, but tonight it's not cooperating with me, as the 17's got some good right side damage and some damage to the spoiler, but that's really all that I can gather.
And I didn't hear word that the production truck just... And it looks like the 25 just went full send it mode and clobbered both of them. So that's what we're dealing with tonight. As I'm still trying to figure out why my connection is so borked. With any luck, that'll be fixed in about 2 weeks when I get my desktop back. As there goes the 17 down pit road to try to get that truck fixed. Got quite a few trucks down pit road right now. As there goes the 3 of Hoffman. Looks like Woods. Who did? Hollingsworth. So Hollingsworth winning the race off pit road, and looks like Schloss has put it on the hauler, as has Dewar. So 3 retirements so far in this piece. So have quite a few guys that have stayed out. Glazer, Steele, Hutchinson, Gall, Schmeier, Rawlings, Crumrye up to 7th, Baird, Burke back into the top 10, Rob Courtney rounding out your top 10, and Charles Woods back to 11th. Will Fletcher currently sitting in the number 12 slot. Keith Kellman, Dustin Burns, James Campbell, and Javier Torres all staying out. And it looks like the field's starting to form up. It's Hollingsworth going around a couple of lap trucks there, and this is going to be fun to watch because, you know, the passing is very difficult here, and you've got to get that second lane figured out if you want to make any moves here tonight from what the looks of it are.
Absolutely. And, you know, the other thing that I'm keeping my eye on is, you know, Bentley Glazer, Ryan Steele, Wayne Hutchison, Rob Gall, all these guys up front are going to end up having quite a few sets of tires at their disposal, as we're 65 laps down as they cross the stripe, pacing around lap 66 here as the lights go out on the pace truck. But all of these guys, if I'm not mistaken, still have all 3 sets of tires left, Tony.
Yes, they do, and that's going to be something to be very mindful of. And from the looks of it, with all the cautions we've been getting, those guys might be able to go to the halfway point before they're going to have to go in for fuel.
The iRacing pace truck pulls off. The 87 of Bentley Glazer leads the field back to green on lap number 67, and another good jump as Rob Gall, now a lane higher than Wayne Hutchison, able to take away that 3rd spot on the restart, and Bentley Glazer still maintaining the lead, and Ross Rawlings now, as we see that top line starting to play in on these guys having this tire fall off the top line momentum going to work for some of these guys. We see Jeff Schmeier now using that top line. And as I had alluded to, Stephen Baird now back up inside of the top 10 after trouble early on.
Absolutely. Schmeier in heavy trouble right now, as well as I believe that's Wayne Hutchinson that he's working on right now. And we've got trouble in 2. And that was Border going for a ride in the 527. Had a good run going, but it was no bueno. Oh, gets it all wrong on the front stretch. There was a 3-wide condition, and Border apparently knew he was down there and just goosed it a little too hard, and there's no rubber laid down that low on the exit of 4. And unfortunately, Border, absolutely no traction, spun it around and just tagged the pit wall, putting a good crinkle in the nose of that Totter number 527 Ford F-150.
Absolutely. And adding to the carnage of trucks on the field right now with a lot of damage. Another one of them, the 46 Earl Weaver, not from that incident, but a lot of nose damage for Earl Weaver, some damage to the right side of the 3 of Paul Hoffman, lots of dented in tailgates, as you had mentioned, with these big braking zones. William Fletcher, the right side of his spoiler, relatively well bashed in as well. Carl Burke has had damage now for quite some time, just about on all 4 corners of that truck. And Stephen Baird still fighting through that damage to make his way back into the top 10. And then looking forward, all these trucks still seemingly clean, with Bentley Glazer, Ryan Steele, Rob Gall, and Ross Rawlings pretty much have no damage.
Absolutely. As I know there's one viewer right now in the YouTube chat that's going to be very happy, as Paul Crumry started 24th on the field, did not have the qualifying attempt he was hoping for, currently sits in the number 7 position. So great run right now for the driver out of Minnesota there, the GM Goodwrench number 15, as another one that's having a pretty decent run is Keith Kelman in the 07. So, we haven't talked a lot about Keith, but pretty decent run so far.
Absolutely. And, kind of surprising here, 73 laps into this one, a lot of guys having really good nights. As you mentioned, Keith Kelman, William Fletcher, Charles Woods, unfortunately, after starting way up front in that 3rd spot, shuffled back just outside of the top 10. Rob Courtney from 19th to 10th, but has about Kroom Rye from 24th to 7th. What a run here in that revitalized paint scheme in the 15 for Paul Kroom Rye.
Yeah, absolutely. Great run for him right now. And I know his daughter is watching from college right now. So how you doing, Brittany? As lights go out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck, as Glazer going to have the button one more time. Glazer, Steele, Gall, Rawlings, Hutchinson, Schmeier, Crumry, Baird, Burke back into the top 10, and Rob Courtney rounding out your top 10 as the field works its way down the back straightaway one more time. And again, Glazer going to have the button. He's been in command for most of this event so far. After the first caution, he was able to wrestle the lead away from Ryan Steele, your pole sitter. So the front row is still the front row. They've just swapped positions. The green flag comes out. Glazer pulls the trigger, truck length lead going into 1.
And a great jump for Ross Rawlings, as he's going to be sitting on the top side of Rob Gall in that 3rd spot, coming out of turn number 2, heading down the back stretch.
Eesh. Hollingsworth backwards in 2, down on the apron. We don't see a caution yet, though. That was a big moment.
And it tagged a handful of cars, but like you said, no caution, as all these trucks able to continue on. We see a couple trucks make their way down pit road, and boy, does that shuffle things up for Jeff Hollingsworth moving forward.
Absolutely. That's pretty much going to put a fork in his night. He's got to hope for a lot of luck, as I believe that is Carl Burke working the inside of Steve Baird right now. Those two guys just throwing haymakers at each other for the number 8 spot.
Absolutely, and Burke continuing to plug away on the bottom, Baird on the top side. And take a look behind him, Rob Courtney another one of the guys that got tied up in a little bit of heat as this battle rages on. He's found his way to the tailgate inside of the top 10. A little tag of the wall there from Bayard as Carl Burke continues to pick away at the bottom. Looks like he's going to be able to get clear this time in a big bobble as Bayard gets into the front stretch wall.
Bayard going to hemorrhage spots here as here comes Fuson in the 22 as well. Charles Woods has already gotten by him to get back into the top 10, but for how long, as Fuson is on some fresher rubber.
Battle inside of the top 5 shaping up here between Jeff Schmeier and Rob Gall. Trying to take away that 4 spot is Jeff Schmeier as he's got a good stick on the bottom of the racetrack, but the momentum for Gall able to hold on as Hutchison being
wiggle.
very aggressive and following right in there. The 30 of Schmeier continues to plug away. Give it to Schmeier at the line. Actually, no, they give it to Gall. Yes, Schmeier, as I bobble back and forth by just a 1/10 of a second, if that, over Rob Gall for 4th.
Two 100ths of a second between the two at the line. They did give Schmeier the call that time. This time, you'll give it to Gall as, wow, one 1/100th of a second. Big wiggle for Crumley off of 2.
Yeah, and that's going to make him bleed spots now as Charles Woods goes to work on the top side of him. That let Carl Burke get right around with that little bit of nose damage in the 22 of Fuson, now looking to take advantage of that mistake out of Krumrei, but unable to do so as Bayard falls back to 11th. In this battle, all these battles inside of the top 5 are absolutely raging on.
Absolutely, as I believe that's the 777 that they're working around right now, the lap truck. What? That is the 777, and we are back under caution.
See if I can catch it here.
Looks like Beltrami going for a ride. Oh! Wow! Yeah, that started with the 50, I believe that's the 25. Yes. Started with Javier Torres going into turn 1. And that just stacked everybody up behind him. And unfortunately, Beltrami nowhere to go. Okay. Yeah, Beltrami catching a piece of that one. The 99 catching a piece of that one. So a lot of trucks catching a big piece of that. Looks like the 25 of Wood catching it as well. So we are back under caution. We're going to step away real quick for a commercial break. And
Bentley Glazer to pit road.
And Glazer finally bringing it down pit road. So we are going to step away. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back after this. And we are back at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Western States Racing League as some pit stops happening under that caution. Ryan Steele and Ross Rawlings currently sitting on the front row, the only two that have not been down pit road yet. As Steele, your pole sitter, gets a great jump, as right now the battle is for third right now between Burke and Charles Woods. Those two guys just throwing haymakers at each other as Burke working that inside to perfection, able to wrestle the spot away. And here comes Fuson as well to the inside of Woods.
Absolutely great run for the 22 of Fuson down to the inside of Charles Woods, as he's going to be able to pull just to the door, heading down into turn number 3. He's able to clear the 40 truck. He's going to slide up just a little bit, and he is able to clear the 527 of Brian Border and the 17 of Martin Tuck after being wrapped up in some trouble early. Now sitting inside of the top 10 as the battles are stacking up with these cars that just came off of pit road. Jeff Schmeier in the 30 taking a look to the tailgate of the 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth, who unfortunately just could not avoid a couple of these dumpster fires, but Barry Phil fighting hard to the outside of the 30 of Schmeier.
Absolutely. Schmeier and went down pit road with race leader Bentley Glazer was able, and we're 3 wide. That's Barnes. Barnes is mixed up in that one, I'm hearing. If I can get my mouse to work. So Barnes trying to work the inside of the 07 of Kelman, and now goes to the inside. That's the 28. That is a lap truck, as that is, and we're back under caution.
See if we can find that one. Brian
being
Border.
told Brian Border in the 527 again. See if we can go back and take a look at what happened there. That truck looks like it's been through a war.
Yeah, so coming off of turn number 2, some contact with the 17.
No, that was the 27 of David Woods, but the Border was already sideways when Woods finished him off. Okay, then I'm being told that it was the 17. No, you are right. I apologize.
Yeah,
but yeah, Border was already sideways. He got up into the marbles that do collect on the outside of the corners here, just got out of the groove and went to go lay the power down. And unfortunately, that's the second time tonight he has caught marbles and wadded that truck. So that might be game over for Brian Border. Well, it looks like he's trying to get that truck fixed right now. Is putting some new tires on. He is back rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Looked like at least 4 tires, maybe a splash of fuel for Border. Is not sure if he had stopped for fuel previous to that, but see what these guys at the front of the field decide to do is we creep up on lap number 100. We're on lap 97 coming to the flag. We'll start lap 98 in. Ryan Steele and Ross Rawlings still have yet to come down pit road, as we see Bob Beltrami making his way off of pit road for either his second or third stop of the night.
So I dare say that we're going to get the restart at the century mark. Steele, though, in control of this one, has been running in either the number 1 or number 2 spot since the drop of the green flag. Now, Bentley Glazer, your points leader, did lead quite a handful of laps, though most of them were under caution. Currently up into the 11th spot. Jeff Hollingsworth, great recovery drive for him after getting caught up in a dumpster fire early on. Currently sits in the number 8 spot. Jeff Schmeier, who was down pit road under that last caution, currently sits in the number 9 spot. Wayne Hutchinson getting a good run going back into the top 10. And Brian Barnes right now, though, in the 4, mired in traffic back in 18th.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, the one that I'm looking at right now, the 91 of Ross Rawlings, since he's been running here with us this year with the Western States Racing Leagues, he has had a handful of really great runs, but he's looking to put a stamp on it and put that 91 truck in victory lane here with the Western States Racing League as the pace lights go out on the pace truck in the field begins to form back up.
Absolutely. And the one thing you pointed out last week that I was I, I didn't realize until you said it was we've only had 4 different winners all season long, and this is going to be a huge points night for a lot of guys if they can make some headway with Glazer mired back in traffic, and I believe third place in points isn't even here as green flag comes back out. Ryan Steele pulls the trigger. Rawlings goes with him, but he's got to defend now against Dennis Fuson in the double deuce, working that inside line on the fresher tires, able to get the clear off of 2. Fuson up into second.
Absolutely. And you see that tire fall off come into play there for Fuson as he's able to pretty easily drive around. Charles Woods now able to make his way into the 4th spot in front of the 53 of Carl Burke, as a little bit of contact is going to allow the 17 to get a good run on the top side and potentially make his way around Carl Burke.
That's Martin Tuck in the 17 in his debut race. That truck looks like it's been through wars as he's working the outside of Burke right now. But Jeff Hollingsworth right there as well, keeping both those guys honest, but he's got to be careful because he's got a very hungry Wayne Hutchinson on his tailgate as Hollingsworth to the outside of Burke now.
And this is an absolute melee right behind him. Jeff Schmeier, Bentley Glazer, and the 16 of David Weaver, along with the 31 of Rob Gall. These guys are all bunched up on these pressure tires, and you got to figure that right now is the time to not be wasting any time as Bentley Glazer drops down to the inside of the track and looks to take advantage of these guys getting bunched up. He's going to be able to make his way around Jeff Schmeier at the flag stand.
Bob Beltrami hand grenaded an engine coming off of 2. As I believe that was Javier Torres giving him a push down to pit road, and that not a good sign. Luckily for Beltrami, he did have his fast repair, but let's go back and take a look at what really did happen there as Beltrami's truck looks just annihilated. And it sounds like Paul Crumrine in the 15 was actually the reason for the caution. But yeah, Beltrami blew the engine off of 4 and just could not coast around. And contact with the 27. And then, do we see a receipt?
Just, it looked like some contact down into the stretch wall, and that was all that she wrote there for Krumrye, as Barry Phil was the one on the top side. It didn't really look like he came down all that much. Maybe Krumrye coming up the track a little bit, and that contact just unable to hold on to that truck.
Yeah, I dare say that was more Krumrye going up than Phil coming down. But yeah, that's what brings out our next caution is Javier Torres, being a sportsman, trying to push Bob Beltrami to the pits. Beltrami losing 2 laps to get that truck repaired. Torres currently sitting 4 laps down in the number 27 spot, and that's going to put Krumrye 2 laps down as well, as it looks like he did damage the engine trying to get back to pit road.
Yeah, absolutely, and gotta wonder if he had already spent that fast repair. That might be an ender for his night there in the 15. Keep our eyes on him, see if he's able to get that truck fired back up and back on the track.
As Angelo Espo has now put it on the hauler. And here's the thing to keep in mind. Ryan Steele has not been down pit road yet. Dennis Fuson has much fresher tires, and he's going to be starting outside row number 1 when we go back to green. And you got to wonder when Steele is actually going to bring it down pit road, because there's a gaggle of cars on much fresher shoes that are going to be coming hunting for him when we go back to green flag.
Absolutely. And one of those is that 17 of Martin Tuck sitting in 4th right now, as we talked about his debut with us here with the Western States Racing League and putting together a heck of a run as he is sitting inside of the top 5. And how's about Jeff Hollingsworth? I know that you said something about it, but now is currently sitting inside of the top 5 after having a rough start to his night. And Carl Burke with all that damage to the 53 sitting in sixth. But then that's where you get into these cars that are on the freshest of the tires with Hutchison, Bentley Glazer, the 30 of Jeff Schmeier, the 31 of Rob Gall. So things going to get interesting as we get headed back to green here, Tony.
Absolutely. As the lights are out, field working its way through the 3-4 complex. Coming into turn number 4, pace truck getting ready to duck on off. There it goes, and here we go back to green flag action. Steele wastes no time pulling the trigger, knowing that he's got to get a great restart to get away from these guys, as that's Rawlings and Fuson going toe-to-toe right now. Fuson on the high line almost gets into the wall off of 2.
And they were 3 wide there for a minute behind
and there
them.
it goes.
Oh, and after a little bit of contact there, Hutchison and Baird, everybody able to hold on to it. See where that caution came out from. Dustin Burns, maybe?
And yes, it was, as Dustin Burns in the 04 going for a ride. Javier Torres involved in that one. Bob Beltrami just barely able to miss it. Wow. Oh! 49 getting a piece of that one. 46, 3, 04, 25.
Going back to green here. The 12 of Ryan Steele back to the loud pedal with a really great jump after a very... Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not live, bud.
Yeah, I'm not sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, that was an ugly one coming off of 2. But no, you're right. I mean, Steele, great run going, but you got to wonder, when is he going to go down pit road to get that first set of fresh tires? He's going to have to be careful because we still have a ton of cars or trucks on the lead lap. And, you know, this could go horribly wrong if, you know, these guys figure this out sooner rather than later and, you know, can get a decent green flag run. Steele's a sitting duck.
Absolutely. And it's these, you know, these really short stints of green flag racing are absolutely his saving grace right now, as he's got those trucks with fresher tires certainly creeping up on him. Dennis Fuson with much fresher tires, the 17 of Martin Tuck with far fresher tires. Ross Rawlings, the only other one sitting in that same boat with Ryan Steele. And as you can see, with him not dictating the pace of the start, it has cost him a handful of positions so far.
Absolutely. As, you know, we're working lap 115 of 160. And because of all the cautions, Steele has not had to go down for fuel yet. Now we've seen just about everybody except him and Ross Rawlings go down pit road to get their first set of, at least one set of fresh tires. As looks like we're getting ready to one to go this time. Field should start doubling up behind the pace truck as the lights go out. That releases the one wave around car. And the question is, which lane is Steele going to choose when we go back to green? Is they're not doubling up there. Not sure exactly what's going on here, but they are not doubling up, and I didn't see where it said we were going single file, but apparently we're going single file. Here we go. The green flag comes back out, and we are back underway. Steele getting a great jump, as here comes the angry pack of wolves, as Fuson reeling him in hand over fist as they work their way down the back straightaway.
Absolutely. And I'd say the best restart there was for the 87 of Glazer, as he's now charging forward on right past the 51 of Baird, and he's going to have his eyes set on the 29 of Wayne Hutchison. Everybody else just about single filed out, as Hollingsworth trying to make slight work of the 91 of Rawlings. But right now it's all Ryan Steele. Hollingsworth taking an aggressive look to the inside of the 91, and if we can get some more green flag laps, we're starting to see the 22 of Fuson start to creep towards the tailgate of Ryan Steele.
Absolutely, but the fresh air is letting Steele get all the air to that front splitter, and, really able to get that truck turned in well. Fuson, as soon as he gets close, seems to be struggling ever so slightly. And they have the lap truck behind them. That is the 17 of 17. Oh, Martin Tuck is for position. I apologize, Martin. So Tuck in his debut for position right now, right there within striking distance as well, as Hollingsworth giving Hutchinson all he can handle right now, or Rawlings all he can handle right now, as Hutchinson is defending hard against Glazer.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to say. Keep your eyes on that 87 truck as they start to battle 2x2 here. Bentley Glazer is on an absolute tear on the bottom side of the track, making his way to the door of Wayne Hutchison as Hollingsworth able to get around as we have a spun truck in the backstretch. I believe it was the 777 of McCulligan sitting down in the grass. No caution for that one, but Hollingsworth now scored in that 4 spot, able to make his way around Rawlings.
So Hollingsworth got clear of Rawlings as Glazer still working on Wayne Hutchinson in that 29. So Chevy on Toyota crime right now as Bentley Glazer still working, and he's going to get behind the lap truck of McCulligan. Contact.
Big
Hutchinson
moment there.
Hutchinson almost ended his own night there. He tried to use McCulligan as a pick, and Glazer was having none of it and just bulldogged his way into the number 6 slot. So the question is Glazer going to have a receipt coming his way as they are now working around the lap truck of Paul Crumry?
Oh, and another big moment here is he's working on Crumry. The 17 of Tuck, I believe, got some contact with the wall, stalled his momentum temporarily as Bentley continues to battle to the inside of Crumry, the lap truck, and continues to pound towards that 5th sitting spot of Martin Tuck. And Martin Tuck's truck is certainly out of shape at this point as Bentley Glazer closes right in, able to get around Crumry, and now going to take a look to the inside of the 17 of Tuck. So big moment there for Tuck, a little contact with the wall, and here goes Bentley Glazer to the inside of the 17.
Absolutely, as towards the front, Hollingsworth is really caught up to this lead group here as Ryan Steele continues to show the way. We've got 127 laps in the books, and you've got to wonder how much longer can Ryan Steele stay out. I know that they've got 18 gallons in the fuel cells of these things. Wiggle for Fuson coming off of 4, though. That's going to let Hollingsworth creep closer.
Absolutely, and he does just that, just inside of 2 truck lengths for Jeff Hollingsworth, now to the 22 of Dennis Fuson. Taking a look back, Rawlings able to stall the momentum of the 87 of Glazer, now scored inside of the top 5 after getting around Martin Tuck, and he's looking to waste no time. You can tell Bentley Glazer being very aggressive on these braking zones as Dennis Fuson has to make his way around Dustin Burns in the 04 lap truck. That opens the door for Jeff Hollingsworth. He's got a great run and has that inside of 1 truck length as he has made his way to the tailgate of the 22.
Absolutely, as Glazer and Rawlings in lockstep as they're going almost 3 wide. Glazer able to use the 04 as a pick and wrestle the spot away from Rawlings.
And they continue to battle there as Bentley Glazer now going to set his sights on Jeff Hollingsworth. Teammates going to do battle here in these last couple of laps. Just under caution. 30 to go, and the caution flag will wave again.
And it looks like Carl Burke having a bad time on the front chute. Burke was working that inside lane, and just at 67, Rob Courtney had to chase it down the track off of 4 and just hip check Burke. Burke hand grenades the engine as he eats the pit road wall. And that is going to do it for the 53, putting it on the hauler.
Tough break for Carl there.
Absolutely. I mean, he had a great run going. Started 6th, was running towards the top 10, and just, get caught up in someone else's dumpster fire, which has been the story of his season so far.
Absolutely. And you hate to see it. Carl Burke always rocking that ESPN logo on the tailgate of his truck, and a handful of takers to pit road. Now the 40 of Charles Woods.
Looks like Tuck
And
going down pit road as well.
yeah, Rob Courtney, Paul Hoffman. And we saw a lot of speed there out of Stephen Baird. He had that fast repair left in his pocket. Looks like he opted to use that as a fresh 51 truck coming off of pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Steele electing to stay out again? It just realizes that if he goes down pit road now, he's going to fall back to about 19th spot, because there are 19 trucks left on the lead lap, as we are working lap 135 of 160. So now the question is, can Ryan Steele do 25 more laps under anger? And refresh my memory, I'm not sure if these guys do overtime or not.
I believe the only form
They do. So can he last into overtime as well on the fuel that's left in that fuel tank? And will his tires hang on that long?
Absolutely.
So many questions right now.
Absolutely. And he's, we see it week after week out of him that he's always pushing the envelope of what he can do with his pit stops. And another risky situation for him here is he's going to have to be able to make it as the pace lights go out and the field takes form. Ryan Steele still sitting on the point of this one. As you said, that clean air for him, though, did play a big factor, as Fuson with those fresher tires was unable to make his way forward. But a couple of guys with fresher tires coming up behind him very quickly now.
Absolutely. Is field working its way through 3 and 4. Steele going to have to get an amazing restart again. The question is, has Fuson figured out his timing? We're about to find out as green flag comes out. Steele gets about a truck length and a half gap. And don't look now, but here comes Glazer on the high side of Hollingsworth to move up into the number 3 slot, and he's looking for second.
Absolutely. A crazy good jump there for Bentley Glazer. He's using the top side to his advantage, pushing that truck for everything that it's worth. Fuson able to make it stick on the bottom, but Bentley to the door at the line. It's a photo at the line. Give it to Bentley Glazer. Scored in the second spot, and now he's going to set his sights on the 12 of Ryan Steele.
3/1000ths of a second for Glazer at the stripe that time over Fuson. Fuson trying to battle back, and here comes Schmeier looking to the outside of Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth gets it crossed up coming off of 4.
Big bobble for Hollingsworth, and the caution is out.
And looks like Martin Tuck night is over. As go back and take a look at that one. Looks like he was working the inside of the 16 and just, I hook you, you hook me, and we both hand grenade our engines. And Javier Torres being used as a pinata tonight is just, every time there's been an accident, he's been hit by somebody.
Absolutely. And the 17 of Martin Tuck was putting together an absolute thriller run for himself in his Western States Racing League debut. And unfortunately, as I had mentioned, had used that fast repair the stop before, as Ross Rawlings looks like he is, nearly missed his pit stall. Somehow able to get all 4 tires inside of the box. If that's up on your screen, wow. What almost a big blunder there for the 91, as he nearly missed his box.
Absolutely. As now Brian Border has decided to put it on the hauler and call it a night, which I can't say I blame him after the night he's had. As the question still remains, we're going to be, we're 17 laps to go. Sorry, 18 laps to go. Is Ryan Steele going to try to do all 160 laps without going down pit road?
And I mean, we saw it a little bit early on there when Fuson had the fresher tires, but Steele could dictate the pace. But we've seen Bentley Glazer's jumps on these restarts be so good. Can he continue to have a good jump and have that clean air be that big of a factor for him moving forward? Now, if we continue to see these intermittent cautions here, that might play into the hands of the 12 of Ryan Steele moving forward as well.
Absolutely, but the fact still remains, we're on a 5/8 mile track, and we're 143 laps into this thing, getting ready to put 143 in the books, and Ryan Steele has not been down pit road yet. Looks like Javier Torres has put it on the hauler tonight as well. But we've got Steele, Glazer, Fuson, Schmeier, Hollingsworth, your top five. Then we've got Gall, Hutchinson, David Wood, Fletcher, and Stephen Baird. Good run. Brian Barnes rounding out your top 10.
Absolutely. And Brian Barnes with a great recovery run as he got tied up a little bit early on there in some other dumpster fires as the field makes its way down the backstretch into turn number 3. The iRacing pace truck will pull off and give way to the 12 of Ryan Steele and the 87 of Bentley Glazer. Can Steele get a good jump? He will get to the loud pedal first. He's got a good jump over the 87 of Bentley Glazer, but how long can Ryan Steele hold him off?
Well, even bigger and no back under caution. And it looks like Barnes and Rawlings having a meeting of the minds. Go back and take a look at that one. Oh. Yeah, 3 wide's not going to work, guys. You got the
it was
28 to 27, and the 51 decided to go 3 wide on the restart. And 51 just tries to shoot the gap up through the middle, and Barnes, unfortunately, got tagged. Looks like 91 catching a piece of that one. 07 catching a piece of that one. Great. So we're back under caution.
Woods. Yeah, tough one there.
Good grief.
It's another one of those ones, man, that your night's going well for you, and then unfortunately, especially this late in the race, that you get caught up in 3 guys fighting for one spot on the track. We see Fletcher come up a little bit. The 51's the meat and the sandwich, and that's going to make the night tough for the 4 of Brian Barnes after having a good recovery run from early on problems.
Well, Ben, let me ask you this. How long have you been in the iRacing servers?
Probably about 3-4 years now.
Okay, so you've been around oval tracks long enough to let me ask you this question. On what planet does it make sense to go 3 wide on a restart?
Yeah, it gets tough, especially when you get this late in the race. And, firsthand, in real life stuff, my home track, a very short track in the form of Lake Erie Speedway, for anybody that's familiar with it.
Which iRacing needs to scan.
Right. It's just one of those things, one guy does not get the restart that he's looking for, and that's the scenario that you're sitting in. And then it's just a matter of damage control from there, which, in this particular instance was not a great one, but sometimes there on a track like this, there's just not a lot that you can do about it if you find yourself in that predicament.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But it boggles my mind that guys think it's a good idea to go 3 wide on a short track. And you know that the outside of the track is going to collect marbles. You know, down in the inside, especially on the straightaway, it's going to be nothing but marbles. And we are going single file on this restart. So Steele going to have another crack at getting or hanging on. He's got to hang on for 9 laps. That's it. Hopefully we don't go into overtime, as Steele immediately jumps on the loud pedal as soon as the pace truck clears. He's got about a 3-truck length lead over Glazer. Glazer able to bomb it into the corner. And don't look now, but here comes Schmeier in the 30.
Absolutely. Glazer and Schmeier both on fresher tires, and Bentley Glazer is showing just that right now as he's nearly pulled to the bumper of the 12 of Ryan Steele, being very aggressive, well under a truck length advantage for Ryan Steele. Now he's going to look to make that 12 truck twice as wide as it actually is moving forward. As you had mentioned, inside of 9 laps to go, and Ryan Steele on very old tires, Bentley Glazer on very fresh tires, as we see Jeff Schmeier now going to work on the top side of Dennis Fousson at the line. Give it to Schmeier in the 3rd spot.
0.02 of a second to Schmeier as Glazer bombs it to the inside, pulls along door to door with Steele for the lead. 6 laps to go, this time across the stripe. Steele, though, with a nose out front, 15/1000ths of a second, as progressive banking before it was cool. Wilkesboro able to help Dennis Steele. We're back under caution. The question is, who had the nose out front? And it looks like we're going into overtime. Glazer had the nose out front, so unfortunately Steele not able to hang on yet. And I didn't quite see who. Looks like Rawlings, I'm being told. And the 4 of Barnes getting into it. Oh. Yeah, that's not good. Oi.
Yeah. Couple other trucks too, the 51.
Everybody behind him doing a great job to not clobber either one of them, though, as Rawlings did some figure skating pirouettes down the front chute here. Well then, we are currently 4 to go. It looks like we are going to get a shot at overtime, unless the truck or the pace truck lights go out this time by. And I haven't seen anything from race control saying that they're going to shorten the caution. As there goes the wave around truck. And Ben, I really have to commend Ryan Steele for keeping his cool, and I'm going to be amazed if he can hang on to a podium position with the Pack Angry Wolves that he's going to be restarting around, having not been down pit road at all tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you were saying there, tip of the hat to him is the he raced Bentley really hard, but he did not. He gave Bentley the room to do what Bentley needed to do.
Right. I mean,
he certainly didn't make it easy on him, but took away as much of the track as he possibly could without impeding Bentley in a way that he shouldn't have.
Now the question is, can we get a green-white checker in? We're going to have 3 shots at this. And I did just notice fire emblem on come on, work with me here, on Steele's truck tonight. And I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to nominate Steele for ESBN Driver of the Night if he's going to be able to finish this thing without having gone down pit road.
Absolutely. Would be impressive and one of the bolder moves that we've seen him make, but he makes a lot of bold moves. But 160, it will be 162 now with no pit stop, as Bentley Glazer and himself lead the field down the backstretch for what could be the very last time.
Fingers crossed. And the way this is going to work is they're going to get the green flag. The leader has to cross the start-finish line to take the white flag before the caution flag flies, and then it's race back to the checkers. As the field works its way out of turn number 4, Glazer immediately on the loud pedal, and Ross able to go with him as they're almost 3 wide for third.
Absolutely, and that's Jeff Schmeier on the inside, Dennis Fousson out the outside, and Bentley Glazer leading the field through 3 and 4. It looks like he will make his way to the stripe. That's going to show Bentley the white flag, and the next flag that comes out will end this race. And right now it looks like Bentley Glazer out front.
It's going to be the checker, because that was the white flag he already took. Coming out of turn number 4, Glazer in control, coming across to take the checkered flag. Glazer coming home with his, I believe, 7th victory of the season. 4th victory of the season, I apologize. Ryan Steele, yeoman's work, coming home, having not gone down pit road, starting on the pole, finishing in 2nd place. Jeff Schmeier, he was down in like 23rd, 24th at some point, coming home on the podium. Dennis Fousson and Rob Gall rounding out your top 5. So that, just an amazing set of finishes that we just saw. As we right now are just waiting for the drivers to get into the Discord server, and we will get to interviews as soon as we can. But I'm taking a look at the in-sim chatter, and there are a lot of unhappy drivers right now.
Yeah, and kind of like I was saying, it's just with a track like this being as tight as it is, and trying to get 34 guys out there to be able to make their way around here for 160 scheduled laps, it's just it can be tough, and it's at a place like this, it's going to be easy for some of these guys to forget this race and move on to next week. But for some guys, making the most of it. Bentley Glazer able to charge his way back through the field, and Ryan Steele pushing through with no pit stop to finish on the podium. So what a twofold race that we got to see there, Tony.
Absolutely. And Ben, I believe you've got race winner Bentley Glazer with you now.
Bentley, what an impressive run here for you from North Wilkesboro, with the green flag stops and caution stops, getting shuffled back, able to make your way back up. Take us through it and what it looked like from the driver's seat.
I mean, I love this track. This is a really good track, and we got a lot of new guys, and it was just, I don't know, that wasn't a good race. And props to Ryan for staying out, because I mean he didn't pit the entire race, and it's crazy he got second. So I don't know, that was a rough race. Wasn't very fun.
Absolutely. Lots of stuff going on throughout the entirety of the race. It seemed like with the amount of cautions that we had, at least from a spectator's point of view, the tire fall off really didn't play a role like we've seen it play for most of the season. How did you feel about tire fall off and the way that it affected not only your game plan, but the way that the race carried out?
Well, there are just so many caution laps. We didn't wear the tires down that much, and I kept holding off pitting because it was just crazy back there. And finally pitted at halfway, and I was only like 85 on the wear. So, and I noticed the new guys, I was only like a half second off when I was on the old tires. So it was almost a really bad decision to pit, but it worked out luckily.
Absolutely. And, it seemed like, throughout the race, we did have a number of big movers throughout the field, probably in part to some of the cautions and people getting wrapped up in them. But it just seemed like, from that point on, after you pitted, you were one of the only cars on the entire track that was able to really be aggressive and almost overtake people at your will. What really led to that, and what were you doing different in the cockpit that worked so well for you?
I just think I had, a lot fresher tires than Ryan for sure. And, I think there was only like 5 people that pitted with me halfway. So I had some of the freshest tires out there, I feel like, and that was, big. I was able to drive in the corner harder and able to get underneath people.
Taking away another win here from North Wilkesboro, going to be able to build on that points lead in the championship points. Moving forward over into Tony's neck of the woods over in the Finger Lakes, moving on to the Glen. Is that something that you're looking forward to getting to?
Yeah, that'll be fun. And we'll have no cautions there, so that it'll go nicely.
Absolutely. And who do you want to thank here again, as we've grown so accustomed to here at ESPN, talking to you and talking to you in Victory Lane as well? Who do you got to thank for getting you back into Victory Lane here this week?
Thanks to my teammates at OGR. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting. I'm sorry there's so many cautions tonight. We'll clean it up. And thanks to the league for having me.
Well, we're glad that you're out there, Bentley. You put on a show week in and week out. We'll see you next week at the Glen.
All right, take care.
So that was your race winner, Bentley Glazer. And joining me now is a man who has a hero moment coming to him. ESPN Driver of the Night, coming home in second place after starting on the pole, not taking a pit stop at all tonight. Congratulations on the podium, Ryan Steele.
Thank you. It's definitely nice to come away with a good finish for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. But talk us through the decision to not pit at all.
I felt like that. Basically, I bet going in that this race was going to have a lot of cautions and there were never going to be a lot of green flag laps. And no matter, in my head, I'm like, no matter when I pit, if I go out and pit, I'm going to wind up in the middle of the field and then I'll immediately get wrecked. And staying out on old tires probably won't win the race either, but at least I probably won't get wrecked. So I'll just stay in front, thank you, and let everyone else crash.
Well, you stayed in front to lead the most laps tonight. As, just like you said, you stayed out of trouble by not getting mired in traffic. There were a couple of sketchy moments that I saw with lap cars and trucks spinning around you, but you were able to keep your cool and just, pardon the pun, but nerves of steel tonight.
Yeah, there were a few minor scares. The biggest scare I gave myself was right as Bentley was coming to pass me. I put myself in the wall for no reason at all. But otherwise, it was I would say it was a fairly calm race for me, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. But changing gears, literally next week, we go to the Finger Lakes region of Central New York, and the twisty turns of Watkins Glen. Your thoughts going into that event next week?
I don't know. It could be a mixed bag. I did okay at Road America, and Watkins Glen is an okay road course for me, but in general, I don't consider myself to be very good at road courses. So if at best, I'd say maybe top 5. I'm looking maybe probably top 10. It'd be nice to get better than that, but I don't think I will.
Well, it was definitely a big points night for you here tonight. And, looking forward to seeing what you can do. Is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go celebrate this podium with your team?
As always, I've got to thank my Dog Bear team. The input we share with each other before the race is always helpful as we all debate about what's the right thing to do. Just simple things like how to do to restart in the race today. I think that was actually kind of critical because I screwed up a restart early and lost the lead. And from there, I was like, maybe I shouldn't use second gear. What do you guys think? And we talked about that, and I settled on third gear for the rest of the race. And I got to thank you guys for covering this race.
All right, Ryan, again, congratulations on the podium. Not pitting here tonight at Wilkesboro for 162 laps, able to hang on for second and earning yourself ESPN Driver of the Night.
All right, thank you.
So that was Ryan Steele, and I believe joining Ben now as a man who's probably not going to be too horribly disappointed with the podium finish that he got. Ben, I believe you got Jeff Schmeier with you?
Absolutely. Jeff, another podium finish here for you with the Western States Racing League. Tonight, kind of a hectic one. Take us through what it looked like for you from the driver's seat in the number 30.
It was lots of just sitting around and pacing. It was It wasn't too dramatic where I was. I managed to stay in front of most of the carnage. But yeah, it was definitely not the greatest showing for us. I'm not sure if we'll be coming back to this track in the next couple of seasons.
And with everything that happened, I mean, how did that really affect overall your game plan on how you wanted to attack North Wilkesboro here tonight?
It didn't change much. I kind of expected a lot of cautions, and my plan was to take my pit stop in the kind of in the middle of the race. Um, and then kind of work my way back through the field. I tried to. I was. It was fun trying to keep up with Bentley, just so I can try and get some points on him. But he still snagged the win from me.
Absolutely, and with the absence of Kyle McCartney, it's going to help to solidify where you're standing at in the points moving forward. Obviously, Ryan Steele having a good night coming home in second, but moving forward, we're looking at the Glen and quite another change of pace again as we go from a road course to North Wilkesboro back to the Glen. You looking forward to getting back out there on the road course?
I wish I could be. Unfortunately, I'm going to be off next week. I got some other plans, which is unfortunate because, yeah, the Glen is one of my favorite tracks. But Atlanta is also one of my favorite tracks. So I'm looking forward to getting back in 2 weeks and getting back and taking this season by storm.
Absolutely, and jump back to this one. I got a little bit excited about the Glen there, but with this one, man, it just seemed like you and Bentley really just had your own pace to this one. I mean, with as weird of a race as it ended up being, and lots of pacing. When we weren't pacing, you and Bentley were just on a totally different pace. What was it that made the 30 truck, so much better than some of these other guys out there on the track tonight?
I'm not sure. I mean, the first half of the race, I was kind of marred back in the middle of the top 10 while he was up there leading. Once we kind of got together after the pit stop is when I could just kind of follow him around and work our way through the traffic together. So yeah, I would definitely. I don't know. I'd probably say he was the better truck tonight, but I'm just happy that I was able to keep pace with him moving through the field.
And before we let you go celebrate with everybody, who do you got to thank for getting you back on the podium yet again, Jeff?
Of course, I got to thank my fan club, mom and dad, and my sister Kathy. She stayed up and watched it. Hi, Kathy. And my girlfriend Beth. Love you to death. Got to thank my dog bear team. Ryan got himself a second, and then Rob got himself a fifth. So we got 3 in the top 5. That's always awesome to see. And got to thank you guys for sticking it through all those cautions.
Hey, congratulations to you again, Jeff, on another podium finish. We'll be missing you next week at the Glen, but look forward to seeing you at Atlanta.
All right, I'll see you guys then.
So that was our third place finisher, Jeff Schmeier. Quick rundown of the finishing order. Bentley Glazer coming home with the win. Ryan Steele second. Rob Schmeier in third. Dennis Husan in fourth. Rob Gall in fifth. Jeff Hollingsworth sixth. Seventh going to Will Fletcher. Eighth going to Wayne Hutchinson, Steve Baird, and David Wood rounding out your top 10. Charles Woods, James Campbell, Keith Kelman, Ross Rawlings in his debut coming home in 14th. Brian Barnes, good recovery drive for him coming home in 15th. Eric Woods 16th. 17th going to Dustin Burns. Barry Phil coming home in 18th. And 19th, last truck on the lead lap going to David Weaver.
Paul Hoffman in the 3-2 laps down scored 20th. Rob Courtney 21st. 22nd, Earl Weaver. Martin Tuck 23 laps down 23rd. Javier Perez Torres put it on the trailer early, 24th. Brian Border had to take it home early as well, 25th. Carl Burke, 26th. Paul Krumrye, 27th. Earl McCulligan, 28th. Bob Beltrami, 29th. Angelo Espo, 30th. Jeffrey Schloss, 31st. Alan Bergen, 32nd. James Dewar, 33rd. And Fred Williams did not start the race.
So that is going to about do it for us here tonight. And I know I, for one, am looking forward to getting a little Armco in my racing next week. I've been missing the Armcos, that line the entirety of Watkins Glen. So it's going to be good to see these guys get back on a road course. You really can see the guys that know how to get up on the wheel when we go to those, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it seems like when we get to the road courses, it always brings on a couple of guys that don't run a full schedule with the Western States Racing League that add a little extra something to those races. And to be honest with you, when we talk to these guys, a lot of guys say, oh, not too excited about it. But a lot of these guys are really, really talented on road courses. And some of my favorite races to watch in the Western States Racing League come at these road courses, and the Glen might be my favorite of any of them. So really excited to get over there next week and have another really good race from the Western States Racing League.
Absolutely. So that is going to do it for us here tonight. I have to give a big thank you to Frank Marchese over in the production truck for giving us all the sight and sounds of the action that we were able to see tonight. Ben Bruno was joining me in the production or in the broadcast booth. Thank you, sir, for doing that. The only thing that's left to say for me is remember, folks, as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.